Okay, hi everybody. My name is Alejandro. I am super happy to be here in Jamaica for the first time. Thank you, Craig, for the invite. I just wanted to give you a little quick overview of some of the work we've done, a little change from everything we've been seeing, a little bit more visual. So I'm going to be talking to you about something that's very important when you try to conquer a new market, which is the power of brands. That's what we do. We're a branding firm. Like I said, my name is Alejandro. I am CEO of Partn&rs. We're a branding agency. And we are old. I am old now. We've been doing this for over 25 years. We've deployed over 250 brands, most of them successful, some fail. Over 180 clients in different countries, most of them in Peru. I am from Peru. And we've done over 400 successful projects in the last 20 plus years. And this is what we say we do. We create new features by building compelling brands. And it's very important to us, and I'll walk you a little bit through that. But most importantly, well, we work on pretty much every sector in the Peruvian economy, which is very diverse. I guess not that different from here, other than we're very strong in mining, I guess. And what really brings me here and gets me very excited is that we've partnered up with Craig and the people of Adtelligent. So Craig is, like he told you, we actually met through Zoom a little bit after the pandemic. We hit it. Huh? No, not Tinder, man. No, you already have a girlfriend. We've established that. That's fine, man. So we met through Zoom. We kicked, had a good connection. And then one day he called me and said, "I'm coming to Peru." And I said, "Okay." So everything started. So we signed the deal about 4 months ago, maybe, in Lima. And now we are cross-selling services. So like Craig said, I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy, but it's not that hard either. So you can just all do it. So I'm going to start with this, and this is something I always get, is what is a brand? Okay, what do people think of when they think of a brand? And most people think of the first thing you saw. It's just a visual, a logo, graphic, and identity. And that's not really what it is. So to me, a brand is a promise of value. So when somebody sees a brand, a good brand, they say, okay, somebody's promised me some value. But it has to be fulfilled, because it's very easy to promise something that you cannot do. And brands do this all the time. Most of the most brands fail. Okay, so don't do that. You are going to promise value, fulfill that value. But it's also an experience. Good brands are experiences. And if you think about the brands that you love, and most people don't love brands, but if you think of the brands that you really love, you're going to have a good experience attached to them. Okay? And this is also very important. Brands live in individual minds of people. It's not that brands are one thing and one thing alone. They really represent what you want them to represent. So if I show you these 3 brands, I know for a fact 3 things. That you recognize these 3 brands, that most of you are going to associate certain things to certain brands, but they're going to mean completely different things to you. So if you're a diabetic, Coca-Cola is probably going to be a love brand. And if you are a heavy Google user, probably Apple is not going to be a good brand for you. And if you're an Adidas boy, then you probably don't like Nike. It doesn't matter. It's not that these brands don't try to have a consistent value proposition. They do. They have extraordinary value propositions. Apple is the world's largest, most profitable company and brand. But it's going to mean different things to different people. Okay? So what can be branded? What can you brand? Everything. You can brand absolutely everything. We have branded pretty much everything you can think of. This is some of the work we've done. It has gone from education, retail, pharmacies, culture, massive consumption, cement, the government. Anything can be branded. We've even branded commodities. This is the brand for a tin. Tin is a commodity. It has a fixed price on the market. But they called us and said, like, you know what? We don't do the same thing that everybody else does. We have a super socially responsible mind. We have an amazing process. We don't contaminate everything, and we want a premium for my brand. And I said, okay. We talked to their clients, and they said, we agree. We're willing to pay you a little bit more for a story, and we created a brand for them. And they sell for 1% more, which for tin is a lot of money. Okay, so branding to conquer new markets. What do you have to do? Okay, so Latin American numbers, the sweet short version, 665 million people, 6.3 trillion in GDP, 21 countries, and here's the kicker. 448 languages spoken. Somebody was saying it's nuanced. Yes, it's nuanced. Most of them are dialects, not everybody speaks. But that just tells you how diverse this continent is. And trust me, even my country is completely diverse within the country. This is a huge market, it has huge potential, but it's not easy, it's not simple. You have to understand where your opportunities are, okay? So how do I make my brand relevant? To me, everything starts with a good story. So a good brand has a good story. And if people buy your story, chances are they'll buy your brand. So let me tell you a little bit of ours. So I'm from Peru. We've gone through a process that's been very interesting in the last 30 years, not only for economic growth, but political change and everything, but also something that's very interesting about brands. So what do you think when you think of Peru? Most of you probably have never been to Peru, and if I ask you what do you think of when you think of Peru, most likely you're going to think of that. Machu Picchu. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you? If you Google Peru, that's what you get, Machu Picchu. Obviously, you know, we all have associations with certain countries, especially ones that we don't know that much about, and that's fine. That's a great starting point for us. You think about one of the wonders of the world, you probably want to come visit, and that's a great starting point. If, you know, if it was I don't know, if I ask you about Ukraine right now, you probably think of war. That's bad. You want to think about something that's good. But that's also Peru. You probably didn't know that. And that's also Peru. And that's also Peru. And that's also Peru. And that's also Peru. So it's a very diverse country. It's very different. We have 3 big regions. It's a massive, you know, country. All the climates in the world, everything. You know, the Nazca lines. That's one of the highest peaks in the world. We're one of the most diverse countries in the world. 27 of the world's 32 climates you can find in Peru. If it doesn't grow in Peru, it probably doesn't grow or you don't want it to grow, okay? We're only one of 8 millenary civilizations. That means the oldest city in Peru is 5,000 years old. That's older than pretty much anything else, okay? And we have 3 official languages, and 24 dialects. That's just Peru. Bolivia has its own set of things, and Ecuador does its own thing, and things like that. So, how do you represent this diversity? So the flag doesn't work anymore, the shield doesn't work anymore. So we did something that I thought it was a very interesting thing. It was as we rebranded as a country. We did what we called Marca Peru, the Peruvian brand. This was a massively successful thing for us. And even though it was questioned at first, and I understand that you're going through the same process again, and I applaud you for that because I think it has a lot of opportunity. What the equivalent of the Jump Pro, is it? Jump Pro? So they did this, and then they exploited it, and they said, okay, what are we going to stand for? So we stand for diversity and biodiversity. We stand for culture and nature. Those are our pillars of the brand. Of course, there's a bunch of other things that are going to come in there, but those are our pillars. And we took that everywhere. Went to the New York Stock Exchange, went to Times Square, went to Dubai, to the Expo, went to every tourism fair in the world. We won all the awards we could win. And we even went to the World Cup, and that really pushed us. And this was very important because, yes, it was important for everybody else, but it was important for us. Peruvians started to believe we can do this because we have the same mental problems that you had about how we feel about ourselves. So I was telling Craig, if you think English is a barrier, the Americans would not rule the world. And they do not speak Spanish. And they don't care. They hire somebody else. The Chinese would not rule the world. Nobody speaks Chinese except for the Chinese. That's not a problem. Everybody that you want to do business with either speaks English or can get somebody who does. It's not like you speak, you know, Dutch. Those guys are screwed. You're not. English is easy. Everybody speaks English. There's a million English schools and online courses and stuff like that. Another thing we did, and that really helped, is that we sub-branded. So we have a brand for alpaca, which is our native, the wool. Peruvian superfoods, we have, like I said, 27 climates. We can grow anything. Pisco, which is our spirit. Coffee. Every country in Latin America says that coffee is the best. We all do. Panamanians do, you do, we do, Colombians do, everybody do. Doesn't matter, everybody drinks coffee, there's market for everybody. Textiles and Peru Expert, we actually fall on that category, which is the services sector, okay? What happened with that? Well, it empowered other brands to just improve themselves. This is a really high-end alpaca stuff. That's Katy Perry. So Alpaca did their own thing. They promoted their own brands under a sub-brand of Peru and under a sub-brand of alpacas from Peru. The same thing happened with Pisco. Pisco was a very, very under-branded category. People were not drinking it. It was really bad. And we started doing some high-end, more refined stuff, selling to other countries in the world. We actually sell more Pisco to Chile than we do any other country, and they sort of, quote-unquote, make Pisco too. Coffee. Coffee was something that, we pretty much exported. Nobody drank it. And now coffee is branded properly in Peru. We have some really amazing coffees that you can actually buy and take home and feel proud. Same with superfoods. Superfoods come to a category that goes, they sell in Peru, but they go all over the world. So that helped us. The idea of having a Peruvian brand, sub-brands, and then just products that sub-branded, because it gave us a story to tell. It's not just, I sell peanuts. It's just, I sell peanuts from 5,000 meters in altitude, the fair trade of a millenary civilization in one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. Well, that's a better story, so people actually buy. And that helped change the way we saw ourselves, and we saw ourselves in the world, so we relieved ourselves a little bit more. And nowhere has this been more relevant than in our gastronomy. So if anybody here has been to Peru, you probably heard that Peruvian food is amazing. Craig loved it. We loved it. It's super diverse because we did something with our food that most countries don't do. Is that every migrative wave, the Chinese, the Japanese, anybody, we just said, integrate, everybody. So we just fused everything. So it's so diverse that this is a Chinese food, Chinese Peruvian food. This is a Venezuelan chef married to a Peruvian chef with Peruvian ingredients. This is Peruvian seafood, and this is just part. It's just so diverse. And people started thinking, we can go up another level. We have the ingredients, we have the people, we have great chefs. What can we do? And if you take away one thing from this presentation, it usually takes one guy or one company to say, we can do it to another level, and then everybody follows suit. And in Peru, it was this guy called Virgilio Martinez, a good friend, a client, and he just got nominated #1 restaurant in the world. And they told him they couldn't do it. You cannot have a #1 restaurant in Peru. You're competing with 11 Madison in New York. You're competing with Fat Duck in London. You're competing with Noma in Copenhagen. That can't be done. It's like, yes, it can. And what he did was, if you go to his restaurant, he'll take you through 19 courses through every altitude in Peru. So people they just go crazy. They've never seen anything like that. But this is not a one-off. This is not the one guy that did it and nobody else said, oh, well, this is just a crazy guy in Peru. If you see the top 50 list of restaurants in the world of San Pellegrino, 4 are in Lima. So you can go to Lima and eat in 4 of the best restaurants in the world. So what that did was that since we believe like, hey, we can be champions of the world, we can probably be champions of the world in other categories too. We can do it in agriculture, we can do it in products, we can do it in mining, we can do it in fishing. It doesn't matter because you believe that you can actually do it. This is a chocolate that we actually did for them. This sells in the Ritz-Carlton in New York. It's like $16 for a square that's like this big, and it's sold out because of the brand. The chocolate is amazing. I mean, that 100% chocolate is uneatable to me, but it's just amazing. And it's $16 for a square that's like this big. But the brand's there, okay? And this is just the beginning for us. So what does this mean for you? So what do you represent? What does Jamaica represent? I already told you my story, and I'm going to do the exercise. If I Google Jamaica, that's what you get. And that's probably what most people associate with Jamaica. You know, the Caribbean, of course, you're a Caribbean island. Beaches, sun, amazing. If you ask me, when I first met Craig and we're talking about that, what do you associate with Jamaica? And to me, as most people have said, Mr. Bob Marley, he is actually, he's revered in Peru. I mean, it's amazing, it's ridiculous. Not only Peru, in Latin America in general. Usain Bolt and the beach. That's what I knew about Jamaica, pretty much. That's actually not a bad place to start. I mean, that's really actually pretty good. You have 2 icons, world icons, and if you just take away the person and what they represent, I don't know if you can have a more significant musician or artist in Latin America than Bob Marley. I'm trying to think of one, and I'm not able to think of one. Maybe you can think of one. That guy's the fastest man alive. Fast has a very interesting implication. It's not just speed on a sport. It's like, we train hard. This doesn't happen by chance. He's not fast because, one day he woke up and was fast. He trained, and you have the fastest woman too, right? So there's something here. And of course, the beach. This is, tourism is probably your biggest industry. If not, this should be right up there. And everybody wants to come here. We love Jamaicans. We think this is a happy culture. Joy. We believe of joy and happiness and reggae and fun and rum. You use that, okay? You can build that to build, and I understand now that you're actually doing, use your country's image to build your own brand. Because when you travel and you sell something, people have to believe that being Jamaican gives it a little added value. So, and I'm going to talk about that. And even in categories that you might not realize are possible. So I'm going to give you just 5 steps. I'm doing fine with time? Yeah? Okay. 5 steps. First, just clearly define what you represent. People buy into brands, okay? Communicate what you stand for. Create an emotional bond, if possible. Some categories are not possible. I mean, oil, tin is hard, but some are not. And make your promise believable. Never overpromise. Never, never, never. Never try to promise something that people are not going to believe, okay? So I'll give you examples of stuff like that. This is a couple of things that we did for our clients. So this is Peru's largest cement company, and they sold cement on the Amazon region. It's like 3 million people. But people they didn't feel connected to the cement. So other people started coming and they didn't feel, it's like, we want a package that represents our own unique identity. So we did that, and they have like 95% of the market now. Everybody else is gone. And this is a smaller project. A large Peruvian chocolate company bought a company in Florida, and they took everything that they had there. They were super successful in Peru, but it didn't work in Florida. And one of the reasons why is that Naples, where they are, is full of snowbirds. It's just rich Americans that come from New York, Chicago, whatever. And then when they go back, they buy a lot of chocolates, but they want something that looks Floridian. So we did that for them, and it helped their sales a lot. So represent something. People want to buy things they believe to be authentic. That's Wally Ollins, one of the great branding minds in the world, and that's true. Nobody believes you when you tell them something that they think that you cannot do. So don't try to sell them something that you're like, why would I buy your brand if, like he used to say, nobody wants to buy Polish cosmetics, even though they're great. It's just the brand's not there. Create a strong brand, okay? Just invest on your brand. Trust me, it's worth it. It's a hassle at the beginning, or it can be painful, it can be time-consuming, but once you create a strong brand, everything is easier that way. So you have strong brands in Jamaica. It's not like you don't. I mean, this is my first time in Jamaica, and I knew all of them, except maybe for Jerk, but I knew him from my boy Craig, who's been talking about Jerk since I met him. But here's an interesting thing. This is a high-tech audio company. Sells very, very expensive headphones. Our hotel actually made us sign a disclaimer saying that if we take the speaker, it's a $500 penalty. And that's a Jamaican brand. It's House of Marley. Now, why would I believe that Jamaica can produce high-tech audio? It's not like you're you're not South Korea. It's because it's named Marley. It has that name attached to it. And I can buy Marley. It's Bob Marley. It's not his son, Rohan Marley, but still, it's Marley. So I believe him. But there's a bunch of stuff that might work well here, but might not fly elsewhere. So there's a lot of stuff, other brands that need work. And they might be, I've never tried any of these products. They can be the best products in the world, but I'm telling you, on a shelf, on a supermarket in Peru, this will not sell. So good design creates expectation. That's the best we can do. If you have something and think about it, when you go somewhere and you encounter a new brand, you are more likely to pick out something that you say, wow, that looks cool. Think about wine. If you never tried a wine, what do you buy? You buy the label. Or a rum. You know the rum? The one that you think is nice. Good design creates expectation. Expectation can translate into a sale. A good experience creates value. Stuff we've done in the past, and we've done it for many, many, many companies, and you try to create that experience and good design so that people sell. Define your message. That's another thing that most brands don't do, and they try to change their message for every situation. It doesn't work. Just define one message, clear message. You can adapt that message, but you cannot change it, okay? Create a purposeful message and stick to it. And that purpose has to be to the people who buy from you, the people who work from you, or work for you, and the people you buy from. It just means, it's just what you represent, okay? This is just a quick example. This is a large energy conglomerate. They're in all over Latin America. We rebranded them. They wanted, the main reason was because they sell electricity. They have like a captive audience. They just pull the power and the grid pays them. But they couldn't attract young talent. It was just very hard for them. No purpose, no energy, no soul. So we rebranded them. We rebranded everything from their companies, and we created, a younger, more dynamic identity. But we defined one message. That was, we are the energy that makes the world turn. And that came with a lot of other sub-messages. And that helped them with just recruit people, because it's like, we're not in the business of creating electricity. We are the energy that makes the world turn. So it changed their perspective, and they've stuck to it for a while, and they're Peru's largest energy provider and one of the largest in Latin America. Okay, adapt to your specific market. That's something that everybody's been saying, okay? You can tweak and adapt to the market. If you have to completely change your brand to go into a market, don't go into that market, because that means you don't have the brand for it. But you can tweak it, you can adapt. More sugar, less sugar, more salt, less salt, or certain codes. What worked for you here won't necessarily work for you there, wherever there is. And this is another example from us. This is a superfood company. This is the code in Peru for superfood. Everything just looks like recycled plants, and they were doing really well. But they got a call from Target and say, like, one of our suppliers, because they sold to Target as a second party, that guy just went bankrupt, and we need his space. And he's like, sure, I'll send you my stuff. He's like, you can't send me your stuff, because this is where you're gonna go. This has nothing to do with what you're doing in Peru. If you bring that here, it's not gonna work. So they called us, and we redesigned that for them. And this is just a different approach. It's the same product, it's just a different approach. So we said, like, okay, we're not changing our product, we're not changing what we are, the core, we're just changing the way. Of course, Craig, we can do this for people in Jamaica. We can do this for people everywhere. Through my friend Craig, call him. He's my agent. And finally, connect with your audience, and this is where actually he comes in. Use technology to connect with people. It's never been easier to target your customers somewhere else. Invite them to participate in your brand experience. You can start digitally, and you can then go physically. And finally, leverage the power of digital communications. You have Adtelligent here. They are amazing at what they do. They know what they're doing. You can consult with them. We can help with the brand, and they can help with the communication. So how can your brand expand to Latin America in general? And I'm finishing now, just in case time is. By designing compelling brands, by telling your story consistently. This is very important. By using your country's brand to expand your own. I'm really happy that you're actually going into a brand design process, a country brand design process, sorry. By creating a reason to believe, some people have talked about it before, people need a reason to believe that you can actually pull it off. By adapting to your desired markets, and by connecting with your audiences. By being authentic. You need to be authentic. People buy into authentic. If you're trying to push the thing, people are not going to buy it. Consumers are not stupid. They know what they want. And this is the last slide. We're finishing. And we can help. From Partners and Adtelligent, we can help you if you want to talk about it, if you have any ideas, and if you have any projects, we can help you. I'm done now. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me in Jamaica. It's been amazing. I hope to see you soon.